Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hey folks, today is Friday, August 9th, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's investigation into Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's misuse of village funds. They released their preliminary findings that prove the village is more than $3.5 million in debt. One of Dolton's trustees is here to break down the numbers. A federal judge in Virginia threw out a lawsuit challenging Governor Glenn Youngkin's process for restoring voting rights for people convicted of a felony. The state's NAACP President will join me on the show. Former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown says Donald Trump is, well, full of crap when it comes to their relationship, and said he was no way in hell he was in the helicopter with the Orange Man. Nashville's MeHarry's Medical College has received a $175 million gift from the Bloomberg Philanthropies. Actually, 4 HBCU medical schools have received a total of $600 million. MeHarry's president will join me on the show to discuss these gifts. Plus, in our Education Matters segment, Vintage Gibson, the U.S. Mint's first Black director, will talk about the educational opportunities the Mint is offering students. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was hired by the trustees in Dolton, Illinois, to assess the state of the finances of this South suburban town. Well, she left the residents dumbfounded after revealing her findings of an investigation into Mayor Tiffany Henyard's alleged egregious misuse of funds. Dolton trustees hired Lightfoot as a special investigator to investigate the allegations against the mayor. On Thursday night, Lightfoot revealed to residents the extent of Henyard's alleged misuse. Lightfoot stated that in April 2022, Dolton's general fund balance was $5.61 million. Not now.
This has been a challenging investigation, to say the least, because we have not received the level of cooperation from the mayor and her team that I would have hoped. Nonetheless, we've had, I think, a breakthrough that's allowed us to be here in front of you today to give you the information that I know the trustees for sure and the members of the public have been seeking for some time. Many of you know that the village's fiscal year runs from May 1 to April 30th. So it's those 12 months, but they spanned 2 years. Certain financial disclosures are mandated under state law that the village reports to the comptroller of the state each fiscal year. The two documents that we're going to talk specifically about are the annual financial report, and you see the citation there, it's a state law, and the audited financial statements. The village has not, and let me repeat that, the village has not complied with these statutory requirements since fiscal year 2021. There's no annual financial report available after 2021 and no audited financial statements after 2021. So what that means is the information that we're providing you has not been thoroughly audited by a CPA, but we do have information coming from an entity that essentially serves as the finance department of the village. Historically, from what we can tell, the village has had small or no full-time financial staff. At various times, even though statutorily there's a provision for a city treasurer, none exists and hasn't for some time. There's a provision for a finance director. There's been intermittent people that have served that role, but that role has been vacant as of May of this year. And before that, the person who held the role started working part-time as of the end of December in 2023. So as of May 30th of this year, the village's general fund was in a net deficit position, meaning that there is insufficient funds in that general fund. As we mentioned, the general fund is used to account for the majority of the village's day-to-day operations, including payroll and vendor payments. The village's special revenue fund and debt service fund, however, are in a positive position, but each of those funds are restricted funds, meaning you cannot borrow from one to give to the other. And that is what's causing, in part, the financial crisis. What's next you can see is a graphic that depicts where we started as of April, where the village started as of April of 22, with positive of $5.6 million in the general fund, and where we are as of May of 2024, which is a negative $3.65 million.
Mayor Lightfoot, if I may.
Yes.
Just kind of as a summary now, just quick numbers. So in a 2-year span, we're talking about a $9 million swing or $9 million of deficit over that course of time. Would that be close to accurate?
Yes, sir.
Folks, joining us right now is Kiana Belcher. She is a trustee for the city of Dolton. Trustee Belcher, glad to have you here. So, all right, so this report, was it delivered in the council meeting or was it delivered in this secondary council meeting y'all have because Henyard controls the actual council meeting?
The report was delivered in a special board meeting. A special board meeting, as long as it's called by 3 trustees and we have a quorum, we can move forward with conducting business. So it was sent to every member of the board, and it was a special board meeting held at the Dolton Park District because, once again, we have been locked out the Village Hall.
So you had a surplus, now you're in a deficit. What the hell is her response?
Right now, we don't have a response from her. If you've been watching or anybody has been watching over the last 3 years, we've been requesting information. We've been locked out of our My Viewpoint, which is the accountant for transparency of where invoices and receipts go. We kind of had an idea that we were in bad shape, but to see those numbers revealed last night was gut punching. It was sickening, and it just was a hard pill to swallow that a group of people have put us in this financial debt.
Say a group of people, when she was on this show, she claimed she knew nothing about this foundation. Then we found out that everybody who was tied to it had a direct relationship with her. One guy worked for the city as well as for the township. He's been indicted by the feds. And so, I mean, you know, what does that tell you that she will brazenly lie like that?
Absolutely. She has been lying to the residents all the time. She's a recalled mayor. She has been recalled. She kept promising things to people. She was doing things without board approval. Saying that there was a $6.8 million grant and all these grants was coming when we knew that, we had an idea that none of those funds had been deposited in the account. She's a habitual liar. She can't help herself.
When you say that she's been recalled, what does that mean?
The village of Dolton went through a recall process at election in 2022, and the residents recalled her to try to put her out of her seat.
Okay, that was in 2022. This is 2024. Yes. What happened? Was it a new election supposed to be scheduled?
Our next election is not until February of 2025, so she was able to retain her seat as the elected mayor until her term is up.
How? But she was recalled. I'm confused.
The judicial system sometimes doesn't work in our favor. They said it was based on the technicality that you couldn't place a recall and the mechanism and recalling her at the same time, but it was obvious that the citizens wanted her gone.
Wow. So she hasn't responded to this report about Mayor Lightfoot. First of all, the report by Lightfoot, that's been paid by the city of Dolton, correct?
That will be, yes, that's correct.
Okay. So she's offered no response thus far, huh?
No. And what amazes me is that on Monday's meeting, while we had discussions about laying people off, because since we have been getting some contact with the CPA, which they were at one point not giving us information, they were saying we had to do hard cuts. We had to cut back on spending. We made provisions to get the spending for the credit card froze. We put a limit on it. So we have started taking actions to try to stop some of this bleeding. But she came to the meeting with 2 federal criminal attorneys. So if you're not doing anything wrong, why would you be coming to a municipal meeting with federal attorneys?
So what's next?
The preliminary, this was a preliminary report, so there's more work to be done from Mayor Lightfoot, and then all of the information will be, the information that we have been turned over to higher authorities, and we're looking to see if there's anything criminally that we can move forward with pressing charges.
All right then, well, Trustee Belcher, we appreciate it. Keep us updated.
Thank you so much for having me, Roland.
All right, thanks so much. Folks, we'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. It's a rare occasion when a course taught in high school becomes a topic of national conversation, let alone a burning controversy. But that's exactly what happened with Advanced Placement African American Studies, courtesy of a certain Southern governor who's taking offense. On our next show, we take you inside the classroom for an up-close look at the course through the eyes of the teachers that teach it, the students that are taking it, and the communities that surround them.
And so many of the kids we saw, the truth. And it just impacts those kids in such a big way.
A master teacher roundtable on the next Black Table that you do not want to miss, right here on the Black Star Network.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, stressing over money. Record inflation is making it hard to not only balance our checkbooks, but to balance our emotions.
The way the whole economy is set up really is to play with our emotions.
A very special show coming up with America's Wealth Coach, Deborah Owens. And our all-star panel will share insight, advice, and tips on how to keep your head above water and balance your life. That's on next, A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker, truly proud on the Proud Family.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Proud.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder, Disney Plus. And I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Folks, in a couple of hours, Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will be in Arizona. Folks, 20,000 people have signed up. They arrived there 5, 7, 8 hours early. We'll show you some of that video in a second. But yesterday, they spoke at a rally in Detroit, and mainstream media did not cover it. But Vice President Kamala Harris was on fire. We wanted to bring that to you. Here's what she had to say.
It's good to be in the house of lady, right? Yeah.
Okay, so let me just say, first of all, can we hear it again from Tim Walz? You know, some people have been asking, well, what do you and Tim Walz have in common? I said, well, you know, a whole lot. You know, we grew up the same way. We grew up in a community, people, you know, I mean, he grew up in Nebraska, me, Oakland, California. Seemingly worlds apart, but the same people raised us. Good people, hardworking people, people who had pride in their hard work. You know, people who had pride in knowing that we were a community of people who looked out for each other. You know, raised by a community of folks who understood that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it's based on who you lift up. And you know, there's some perversion that's happened in our country in the last several years. When there's a suggestion that somehow strength is about making people feel small, making people feel alone. But isn't that the very opposite of what we know unions know to be strength? It's about the collective. It's about understanding no one should ever be made to fight alone. That we are all in this together. You know why I fought my entire career for unions and labor? Because I understand the concept and the noble concept behind collective bargaining. And here it is. Fairness. Fairness. It's about saying, hey, in a negotiation, don't we all believe the outcome should be fair? I mean, who could disagree with that? The outcome should be fair. It should be fair. But when you're talking about the individual and a big company, and you require not one individual to negotiate against a big company, how's that outcome going to be fair? So collective bargaining is about saying, let the collective come together around a common experience, which at its core is about dignity and the dignity of labor. And then let the people come together to negotiate so you make the balance. And then the outcome will be fair. And isn't that what we're talking about in this here election? We're saying we just want fairness. We want dignity for all people. We want to recognize the right all people have to freedom and liberty to make choices, especially those that are about heart and home, and not have their government telling them what to do. Our campaign is about saying we trust the people. We see the people. We know the people. You know, one of the things I love about our country? We are a nation of people who believe in those ideals that were foundational to what made us so special as a nation. We believe in those ideals. And the Sisters and Brothers of Labor have always fought for those ideals. Always fought for those ideals. And we know we are a work in progress. We haven't yet quite reached all of those ideals, but we will die trying because we love our country and we believe. that's what our campaign is about. We love our country. We believe in our country. We believe in each other. We believe in the collective. We're not falling for these folks who are trying to divide us, trying to separate us, trying to pull us apart. That's not where the strength lies. And there is that. And so I say to all the members of UAW, and Sean Fain as the first who I talked to about this, I am so deeply honored as a lifelong supporter of union labor for Tim and I to have the endorsement of UAW. So deeply honored. Because you walk your walk. You walk your walk. And what we know, like we have talked about, we got 89 days to get this done. You know, the one thing about all of us is we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work. The thing that we like about hard work is we have fun doing hard work. Because we know what we stand for. And that's a big part of this campaign. You know, when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. We know what we stand for, and we stand for the people. And we stand for the dignity of work. And we stand for freedom. We stand for justice. We stand for equality. And so we will fight for all of it. And the bottom line about UAW is that I also know, and I'll say to all the friends watching, look, even if you're not a member of a union, you better thank unions. For that 5-day work week. You better thank unions for that 8-hour work day. You better thank unions for that vacation time. So I'm here to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the sisters and brothers of UAW for all you are and all we will do over these next 89 days. God bless you.
All right, folks, going to bring in my panel right now. Joining us on today's show, we have Matt Manning, civil rights attorney, joining us out of Corpus Christi. Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit. Teresa Lundy, principal founder of TML Communications out of Philadelphia. Teresa, I'll start with you. That was a vice president, not on teleprompter, speaking directly from the heart. And that is what is sparking fear in the hearts of Republicans. They're going crazy. They don't know how to hit her. They're trying to hit Governor Walz on his military record. You got Megyn Kelly out here talking about tampon Tim, all that stupid stuff. I mean, they literally look like just childish individuals as they try to attack the Democratic ticket.
Republicans look not only scared, but they are very, very worried. You know, we have seen the message change because they were very clear that Biden was the target. But when you have an African-American woman opening her mouth and telling the American people the truth of something they do know, right? So I think getting the support of the unions is something very special. It is a very hard task to complete, I know, because we work on local and statewide campaigns. So when you can do that and galvanize those hardworking people, it is saying something strong about your campaign. Because, you know, when you're fighting, you have to fight with a record. And I think that's what unions and that's what other organizations that will be endorsing Kamala Harris in the future will be seeing. And that's exactly what she'll be saying. So I'm excited to hear more speeches like this in the coming days.
Matt, we had, of course, the news conference, if you want to call it that. I call it a lie fest yesterday with Donald Trump. And all he did was whine about, how he doesn't get credit for his crowd size. They, again, Amanda, straight up, they're scared of what they're seeing. They cannot handle the type of enthusiasm and the interest that they're seeing for Democrats, whether they were in Philadelphia or Wisconsin or Detroit, and now today in Arizona.
I think that's right. You know, I didn't get to hear the press conference yesterday, but I heard part of it on NPR this morning, and it's the same old thing, you know, the same old talking points, the same old apply a nickname to somebody and ride that nickname forever and try to get kind of the buzzwords and the interest for, little pointed things that he said. I think that they are, in fact, afraid. And I think I heard this morning that he's allegedly now saying he'll commit to 3 debates. But I think this is something that I said last week. One of the benefits to her having been a trial lawyer is she's extremely good on her feet. So even somebody in the crowd saying something, she's able to incorporate that. I will probably be the dissenting voice on this and say I think this is a little bit of a missed opportunity, at least the part that I heard, because unions are so important to the fabric of not only this country, but a very important electoral contingency. And I think this is an opportunity, could have been an opportunity to really delineate for working people exactly what some of those policies are. However, I don't know the circumstances under which this event went about. So maybe that's something that's kind of a foregone conclusion and they didn't need to do that. But I think with the inclusion of Tim Walz especially, they're speaking to people of the Tim Walz ilk. And I think an opportunity like this is the perfect time to say exactly what they are going to do for working people. And I'm hoping I get to hear some more certainty on that going forward. But I do think Trump is afraid. And I think that they recognize that this is not the same Joe Biden they had been preparing to run against. This is a completely unknown quantity, and it's showing that she is very good on her feet and very good in front of a camera, as is Mr. Walz, and that creates a big problem for them.
I keep making this point that you cannot in any way replace enthusiasm. You cannot try to mimic it. You can't try to do it, you can't manufacture it. It has to be organic. And what we're seeing, here, Michael, is a Republican response that is freaking out. Now they're trying to use the media against the vice president. Oh, she's not taking questions. She's not, holding news conferences. Okay, whatever, dude. And it's driving them nuts. And then, of course, now they're like, I saw Frank Luntz, you go to her website, there are no policy positions that are on her website. Right. And you go, well, actually, all you got to do is listen to what she's actually saying, and then you'll hear the policy stuff. And they just don't want to even deal with any of that. And I think, again, the smart strategy for Harris-Walz is to keep pounding them, keep having these rallies, keep signing up thousands of volunteers, keep raising money, because it's getting under the skin of Donald Trump and all his supporters.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Roland, thanks for showing that clip. That was actually in Wayne, Michigan, where it was yesterday. I watched the video, and you broadcasted it yesterday as well. So thanks for broadcasting the rally that she held in Wayne, Michigan, with the UAW and Sean Fain. So. And you're correct. Mainstream media did not cover this. They only covered the last few minutes. They spent almost an hour covering that BS press conference that Donald Trump had, where he largely did not answer the questions that the press answered. And he just went on. It was just his grievance press conference. It was a grievance conference where he just continued to lie. So the Trump-Vance campaign is scared to death. When you have Trump, who didn't show up to any of the debates during the primaries. Now he wants to have 3 debates with Vice President Kamala Harris, who he calls dumb. Now, just a few days ago, he did an interview where he said, why should I debate her? Okay. But then polls started coming out showing her surging and actually beating him. Now he agrees to the September 10th ABC News debate after he tried to back out of it and cited a defamation lawsuit he had against ABC News and George Stephanopoulos, right? Okay, but he agreed to the debate after he filed the lawsuit. Okay, so now he agrees to that. Then he wants the September 4th on Fox News and another one on NBC. He's scared to death. They don't understand how to deal with this. He talks about crowd size. This fool said that he had more people on January 6th, okay, at the White House than Dr. King, August 28th, 1963, at the March on Washington, where he had 250,000 people. So one of the things that's taking place is Donald Trump is unraveling, and they're
are articles, The Independent had one where you have Republicans who don't think Donald Trump is mentally stable to survive this campaign because he's getting worse day by day. So Biden-Harris needs to continue to register people, continue to have these massive rallies, because enthusiasm is contagious. You're right, Roland. You can't fake this. There's a whole shift, political shift that's taking place, and it's going to impact down ballot as well. They could maintain the Senate, keep the House, and get the White House back. So this could be really huge. We've got less than 90 days. It's time to go.
Well, look, I mean, again, we see exactly how this whole thing is shaping up. We see in terms of how the race is shaping up. We see, of course, what's driving him crazy. And again, I'll say this here, Teresa. There's no way in hell the Harris campaign should agree to any debate that involves Fox News. And their response, Teresa, should be, they paid a $787 million settlement for advancing Donald Trump's lies about the 2020 election. They have forfeited their opportunity to host a debate. They should not do anything.
I agree. I mean, if anyone who watches Fox News in the morning, it is never anything fair and transparent and unbiased against Kamala Harris. It's essentially it's a Trump on Democratic politics and policy. So literally, I find it interesting that, them wanting it to be on Fox News, knowing that there's a clear conflict, but also acting like the other networks do not do their jobs in terms of making sure that the questions that are being asked are fair and just and allowing the time. We do know with every correspondent, every news reporter at Fox News are very biased. I'm not sure who they would actually get up to do the questioning, but we would know exactly what the type of conversation would be had. It would be loud, boisterous. The American people would not probably get the information that they need in order so we can figure out who to vote for. I think having it on Fox News or any other conservative network that literally does not do, comparable reporting to these other stations is totally irrelevant.
Yeah, so I mean, look, they have forfeited that particular right, and so as the campaign has said, hey, we'll be at ABC September 10th. Y'all show if you want to. Gonna go to a break. We come back. We're gonna talk about voting rights in Virginia. The battle continues when it comes to getting the rights restored to those people who are formerly incarcerated. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, support the work that we do. Join the Brenda Funk fan club, y'all. I stopped by the post office today. Literally, I told y'all, these are the folks who have actually sent us their checks and money orders, and so I got to go through all of this here. And so if y'all want to support the work that we do, we are going to Chicago for the Democratic National Convention. It's going to cost us about $25,000. We leave live broadcasting every single day, 6 to midnight. So your support is critical. So see your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal are Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
I need you to scream for your new beginning. 5, 4, 3, 2. I need you to shout for it. I need you to shout for it. It won't always be like this. Sooner or later, it's gonna work in your brother's favor, in your sister's favor. They shall not die. They shall not die. They shall not die. I want you to embrace somebody and tell them welcome. Welcome to the greatest season of your life. Hug somebody. Welcome.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, stressing over money. Record inflation is making it hard to not only balance our checkbooks, but to balance our emotions.
The way the whole economy is set up really is to play with our emotions.
A very special show coming up with America's Wealth Coach, Deborah Owens. And our all-star panel will share insight, advice, and tips on how to keep your head above water and balance your life. That's on next, A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
A federal judge in Virginia denied a challenge to Governor Glenn Youngkin's process for restoring voting rights for people convicted of a felony. The original lawsuit challenged whether Youngkin violated George Hawkins' First Amendment rights. Hawkins is a felon who has been twice denied the restoration of his rights. U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia ruled Hawkins filed his lawsuit under the wrong section of the law. The court did criticize the governor's use of power in the only state in the country that permanently strips civil rights away from those who are formerly incarcerated as felons. Reverend Cozy Bailey, the president of the NAACP's Virginia State Conference, joins me right now from Virginia. Glad to have you on the show, Reverend Bailey. So, this is an ongoing battle. Here you have the governor who clearly is not operating in good faith like previous Republican governors like Bob McDonnell. And so he is standing in the way of those who are formerly incarcerated who want their right to vote back.
He absolutely is, Roland, and it's good to be with you, and thank you for this opportunity. We in the Virginia State Conference and NAACP have been on top of the things that Governor Youngkin has done in a variety of spaces, but especially this one on restoration rights since he has been in office. And again, you are right. If you look at the records of the previous three administrations, beginning with Governor Bob O'Donnell, there is almost a cliff that the number of restorations per year that this governor has done has fallen off of.
So how many people in Virginia right now who are trying to get their right to vote back? What's the number?
I'm not sure exactly what that number is, Roland, but we have found that, again, the numbers that have been approved or restoration of rights granted have fallen precipitously over the past few years. What we find is, and again, off the top of my head, maybe 1 in 25 who actually petition for the restoration of rights actually make it through the process. But the problem, Roland, is that we have determined is that we don't understand what the process is. And more importantly, those previous convicted felons don't understand what the process is either. It's very subjective.
So what's next?
So we have submitted a variety of Freedom of Information Act requests to the governor. You may have heard about a lawsuit that we have submitted in the state courts. That is, in fact, the case. It was only after we submitted that lawsuit did the governor's office begin to provide the information that we were asking. And essentially, it's information that describes what the process is. We have suspected all along that it is a subjective process as opposed to objective. And of course, Roland, we all know that when you have a subjective process, it is easy to move the goalposts, if you will. Last December, a judge in Richmond ruled that the governor did not have to provide what we consider critical and essential information from a database that would give us a better insight and that we could share with people who are trying to get their rights restored. We were unfortunately ruled against on that, but we have appealed that recently here in the month of July, and we will continue to move forward. Roland, I think that the viewers should understand that while this administration, specifically this governor, continues to talk about redemption and a second chance, the way that he is dispensing his way of restoration of rights is counterintuitive to that. It is in conflict with that.
Questions from our panel. Matt, you're first.
Yeah, so my question, Reverend Bailey, is I know that there's some conversation about the House, or rather the whole House of Delegates, implementing a law or changing the state constitution to take this out of the governor's hands. How much traction does that have in the House of Delegates? Because that, to me, seems to be the way to fix this. This is a structural problem with giving the governor too much autonomy to decide whether or not to return those rights. So how are those conversations going?
So that's a parallel effort that's taking place. It has been slow traction over the past couple of years because those who agree that a change needs to take place in the Constitution have not been in the majority until this past year. But of course, the governor himself is his thinking is counter to that. And, I'm glad you bring that up. It's not only the House of Delegates, but the whole General Assembly, the Senate also, who has to agree on that. Your viewers should know, Roland, that we probably would not have the Speaker of the House, the Honorable Delegate Don Scott, as Speaker if this governor were in office when Don presented his case to have his rights restored. His story is incredible about how an early in life mistake led him to be a convicted felon. But it was under Governor O'Donnell that he submitted a request to have his rights restored. His rights were restored. He went on to pass the bar and now is serving with distinction as the Speaker of the House of Delegates in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the first African-American ever to do that.
Teresa.
Thank you so much for taking up this case. What has the approach been to some of the other organizations, not only locally, but nationally, to this issue? Because I'm thinking like for other states that may, be thinking about this is something that they desire to do. How do we put a stop to it here?
So, first of all, Virginia is unique in that it is the only state that permanently strips the rights of convicted felons and then forces them to come back and petition for the restoration of those rights through a single source, and that being the governor. The federal lawsuit that Roland talked about at the beginning of this segment kind of emphasized how Virginia is unique in that way, when in a way that almost creates the governor as a monarchy. But at the same time, we are concerned in the Commonwealth of Virginia for the rest of the country, because if we are not successful in stopping and turn this around, perhaps some other states may actually change the way that they do business for restoration of rights for felons and begin to permanently strip them and make their constituents, their citizens, come back to the governor, and is similar to the case in Virginia, and petition in a subjective process for their rights.
Michael.
All right, Reverend Bailey, thanks for sharing this with us. So can you explain to us, first of all, what is Governor Glenn Youngkin's rationale or explanation of why felons should have their right to vote stripped from them for the rest of their lives after they serve their debt to society? And based upon my understanding of this in the article from the Washington Post, they can get their rights restored on a case-by-case basis, as opposed to them serving their debt to society and then automatically being restored to them. What's the rationale between felony disenfranchisement and voting, or felony conviction and voting?
So I love that question, Michael. First of all, let me tell you, I'm not going to take a stroll through the mind of the governor, okay, in the way that you posed that question. But I can explain to you what the basis is of how he does things. In 1870, when Virginia was readmitted to the Union, Their Constitution, our Constitution, had some things in it that, again, set apart the governor as the sole authority to restore rights of convicted felons. Now, felonies were defined very differently in 1870 than they are today, but regardless, it is a subjective process as opposed to objective. And so that's the first problem that we have. Then we have a governor who calls himself a Christian, who says that he believes in redemption, who says that he believes in second chances, who acts in the exact opposite way when he exercises that authority that he has been granted constitutionally. You know, I'm being repetitive, but I'll say it again. Governor O'Donnell, Governor McAuliffe, and Governor Northam all had streamlined processes that essentially asked the question, have you done all things that were required of you when you were convicted? If that's the case, then they would sign off and in many cases try to do it en masse on the restoration of rights. This governor has stated explicitly that, and I quote, every individual case is different. And that tells us immediately that he feels that because of the authority that the Constitution gives him, that he can act in a godlike manner. And he can determine when redemption is granted. He can determine, solely him can determine when a second chance is given. And so, Michael, that's what the problem is. The problem is that we don't have a defined process that people can go to and use as a checklist to determine whether or not they are eligible to be re-enfranchised, to exercise the precious franchise of being able to vote and other citizenship type of rights as well.
Okay, thank you.
Right then, well, certainly keep us abreast of what's happening there in Virginia. Reverend, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, gonna go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin, Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. We're going to show you what's happening in Arizona. Listen, Vice President, the rally doesn't start for 2 hours. They have been lining up for 8 hours in the 105-degree heat. Man, a lot of excitement in Arizona. Back in a moment.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Prouder.
Right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All right, folks, the Harris Walz rally in Glendale, Arizona won't start until 8:45 p.m. Eastern. Folks, check this out. This was literally shot, dropped an hour ago. 105-degree heat there in Arizona, and they have been in those lines literally trying to get in for the last several hours. I mean, that is crazy. This here is another video of what's happening there in Arizona. Unbelievable crowds there as well as they are waiting for Vice President Kamala Harris. There was another video. I want to pull that particular video up just to show you a different view of the crowd. Go ahead and take this view right here. And so you see how packed that arena is. And I'm telling y'all, right now, Donald Trump is seething. He's probably like, was it Charlie Brown who had that damn blanket, or was it Linus or one of them damn characters? Donald Trump is probably like sucking on his blanket. Look at all the people they got. You know, I had 150,000 in an arena that only holds 10,000. But again, you're talking about 20,000 people there. There were 50,000 RSVPs. When they were actually in Detroit. There were 15,000 that actually was at the airport hangar. So just crazy numbers. And here's one thing that's real interesting. I discussed this yesterday, and I just want to get my thoughts about our panel on this point here. All these media people are falling for the right-wing deal. Oh, my God, she should be doing sit-down interviews. She should be discussing her policy positions. And I'm like, why? Because the reality is, if you are running a successful campaign, I'm going to say it like if you're a sports team. If I'm running my offense and you can't stop me, why in the hell am I going to change my game plan? That's the dumbest thing in the world. Teresa, they should be doing exactly what they are doing. It's only smart politics in terms of what they're doing. In fact, I'm going to play, even Shannon Bream of Fox News, I'm going to pull it up in a second, agrees with that. She's like, why would you change? Why would you do something else? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. They are running a very smart campaign. And so I say, keep doing what you're doing. Teresa?
Oh, no, I totally agree. I mean, it's not like, Kamala Harris is a new to the game here. She has been a part of the Joe Biden administration. So we know what she stands for. We know she stands for economic Black and brown businesses. We know that she cares for unions. We know the type of policies that they put out to secure the border. We know what she stands for. And when she's doing these rallies, honestly, that is some of the policy positions that is going out there that people are hearing, and they're still loving who the vice president was. But I don't think a 60-minute or a 30-minute sit-down interview with one correspondent that is asking questions that literally they can Google and find is really going to change the thought process in those watching that one segment. What the Republicans are hoping is that she'll fumble. They're hoping that she'll defrail up during a debate or a conversation, and it's just not happening.
Yep.
Because when we saw it right after the State of the Union speech, she was strong, she was powerful, and she was ready. She was ready to take the position, but she also stood in place. And I think someone with her background, someone with her tenacity and the campaign strategy knows exactly what the American people need. Again, she's not new to this, but it's now time for her to just speak up, and I think she's doing it very well.
And I love that what she's doing is driving those yahoos at the 5 on Fox News absolutely crazy. This was a conversation a little bit earlier. Watch this.
If you believe that Kamala Harris, and Judge, you're right, there's no substance there in terms of ideas for how she's going to solve problems. You know what I would be doing if I were running against her? I'd be supplying ideas. I'd be laying out my vision instead of doing the same thing he's been doing for the last 10 years. I think she has caught up with him for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's not Joe Biden. But number two, I called Donald Trump 3 months ago the greatest political athlete I had seen in politics. He is not measuring up to that title any longer. This candidate on the Democratic side is in his head. He is unsettled by her. He's unnerved by her. And he has not figured out substantively how to campaign himself. As much as you may be right about what she's doing and what she's not doing, your candidate is doing even worse.
The truth is that, Shannon, that the president talks about issues unlike what Harold is representing. He talks about the border. He talks about the economy. He talks about crime. He talks about what's going on in the Middle East, how he made the Abraham Accords, and we're on the verge of a world war in the Middle East, a world war as a result of what's going on. But the truth is, you know, he is getting his word out, and yet Democrats are saying, no, he isn't.
Well, I think with their number one goal so far, the message has been, we're not Trump. I mean, because if we're not getting into policy yet, and it's not on the website, and they haven't done the interviews, and they're not really talking about the minutia of policy on the campaign trail, it is, as Jesse said, it's joyful. They're happy warriors, and look at this, you know, team go. So how long does the honeymoon last? Does it puncture to get to policy? She said by the end of the month. So a month after becoming the nominee, maybe we're going to have a sit-down interview from her. In the meantime, if I'm advising her, I say just keep doing this. It's working. You have an adoring media. You have people who are not pressing you on what appear to be changes in positions and those kinds of things. It may be the debate is the first time that they get to that. But in the meantime, I wouldn't change anything if I was her. It's working. Her unfavorables are down. Her favorables are up 12 points just since she's been named to the ticket. So why change it if it's working?
Yeah, kind of basic to me. Why change it if it's working, Matt?
Yeah, I think Teresa was right, and I think that sentiment is right. There's no reason to change it, but let's just get down to brass tacks. This happens to black people all the time. When white people, particularly somebody in a position where they are appraising their value, moves the goalpost as to what is acceptable and or applies a completely different barometer to one person as opposed to another. Case in point, I don't know what they're talking about, but I don't hear Trump talk policy. Trump slings nicknames and he slings barbs, and he may say something like the border, but he doesn't talk about deep policy. And in fact, that was strikingly evident in his debate with Mr. Biden. Mr. Biden talked a lot about policy. Whether you liked the performance and the tenacity of his performance is a different question. But the substance, there's no question. Trump does not talk policy deeply. What he does is draw a contrast by saying those horrible people over there are going to do this horrible thing to you or are already doing it. That is the extent of the policy. So one, it's intellectually dishonest to act as though she is not doing something that Mr. Trump is doing. Moreover, I think her campaign is right to leverage this enthusiasm, but also control the narrative. That's what this comes down to. They want to be, just like Teresa said, they want to put her in a position where she fumbles or there's some faux pas or she says the wrong thing, and they want to say, see, we caught her, she's not competent. But she doesn't have to do that. She's already surging. There's already so much enthusiasm, and they're leveraging it the right way. And it really is just a bunk critique to try to say she needs to sit down with some reporter. That's garbage. And Trump is not talking policy, so let's just be honest about the fact that he isn't talking policy and not hold her to a standard that we don't hold him to.
Michael?
First of all, when you look at that BS Chiron that they had on Fox News in that segment you just showed, it said cowering Kamala. Kamala Harris is not cowering to anybody. She's not backing down from anybody, okay? She was the first one to agree to the September 10th debate. Donald Trump was the one trying to get out of it. I'm still waiting on Donald Trump to do a one-on-one interview with ABC News, even though he had a lawsuit against them. If they offer, you know, if he thought he could get away with lying like he does on Fox News, he would take that interview. I'm still waiting on him to do one with Lester Holt on NBC News, a one-on-one interview. Because we know George Stephanopoulos pushed back on Joe Biden in the one-on-one interview. And George Stephanopoulos said they offered a one-on-one interview to Donald Trump and he declined. Lester Holt pushed back on Joe Biden as well. Joe Biden didn't attack Lester Holt, okay? So Donald Trump is the one who's running. And people should look at the fact checking from that debacle of a press conference Donald Trump gave yesterday. Associated Press has fact checking on this. Yes, he talks about the immigration, and he lies about immigration. This fool said 20 million people came into the country illegally. He cites no evidence for this, but he doesn't talk about why he killed the strongest the strongest immigration bill in 30 years, which was bipartisan.
In that BJ, he said 60, 70 million, or even more. So I mean, that's what
he's lying.
But again, though, I always say the moment he opens his mouth, he's lying. So I mean,
you know,
Donald Trump will actually lie about lies. That's just who he is. Hold on 1 second. Actually, the Harris rally is actually starting in Arizona. I want to go live to that before I go to break.
With the Biden-Harris administration, they've protected our water supplies. They've invested in infrastructure. They took on Big Pharma and they won. In Phoenix, it's meant thousands of good-paying construction jobs and jobs in semiconductors. Just a few months ago, Vice President Harris and I met with an incredible woman from the Navajo Nation who is a member of our local iron workers union. Because of her union, she was able to learn a trade. And because of the Biden-Harris CHIPS Act, co-authored by our own Senator Kelly, she's been able to find a job that pays 6 figures, which is life-changing for her and her family. She's earning the most she's ever earned in her life. It's so inspiring, and we can have more of that. That's the future I want, where every American can achieve the American dream, not just those who started at the top, where combating climate change is a real and urgent priority. A future that is hopeful, joyful, and treats every person with dignity and respect. The future we will have with the Harris-Walz administration. It's more than just the good vibes we are feeling today. It will be the most pro-worker, pro-family, pro-freedom administration in our history. I am so proud to support Vice President Harris and Governor Walz, and I'm ready to work with all of you for the next 87 days to deliver Arizona and the White House. Thank you.
And now, please welcome United States Representative Greg.
We're going to come back to that rally there after we take this break. Coming up next, we'll talk with the president of MeHarry's about the huge gift that they have received from the Bloomberg Foundation. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
I still have my NFL contract in my house, having a case. It's 4 of them, for my 4-year contract. I got a $600,000 signing bonus. My base salary for that first year was $150,000. Matter of fact, $150,000. $150,000. That's what I made, $150,000. Now think about it. My signing bonus was a forgivable loan, supposedly. When I got traded to the Colts, they made me pay back my signing bonus to them. I had to give them their $600,000 back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so pissed. Because, I try to be a man of my word. I'm like, you, I'll give you your money back. Even though I know I earned that money, I gave them their money back. I gave them their $600,000 back. But yet, I was this malcontent. I was a bad guy. I'm about the money. It wasn't about the money. It was about doing right. Because I looked at, because you look at contract. Look at John Elway. John Elway was making $1 million, $800,000. I was making $150,000. I was doing everything. And I'm like, but yet I was, I got so many letters, so I just play for free and all that kind of stuff. You don't forget that kind of stuff.
Right.
That stuff is hurtful.
It's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
This is your boy, Earthquake.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, in 2022, 6% of all U.S. physicians were African American. But are you aware that with African Americans representing 13% of the population, that more than half of black physicians graduated from 4 HBCU medical schools? That's why Bloomberg Philanthropies committed $600 million to the endowments of those 4 schools. The gifts are among the largest private donations to any historically black college or university in history, with $175 million going to Howard University College of Medicine, MeHarry's Medical College, Morehouse School of Medicine, Charles Drew University of Medicine and Science. They will get $75 million. Xavier University, Louisiana, which is opening a new medical school, will also receive a $5 million grant. MeHarry's president and CEO, Dr. James Hildreth, joins us right now. Doc, glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered. This obviously is quite significant. How did this happen? How did this come about?
So, Roland, thank you for having me, first of all. And obviously, we're really excited about this. So 4 years ago, Bloomberg Philanthropies gave the 4 schools $100,000, $100 million to reduce the debt of our medical students. And building on that gift, they wanted to do something further to make sure that we could sustain our ability to train black physicians. And so they came up with the idea of adding to our endowments to give us long-term sustainability in our important mission. And that's basically what this is a gift to make sure we can sustain and maintain our mission, which I think is critical for the health of America.
A lot of people don't really understand how endowments work, how university finances work. And the reality is when you look at HBCUs, lag far behind these predominantly white institutions. And so with this gift, what does it do? How do you use the gift to maintain your long-term vision?
So, Roland, what endowments do is they provide a reliable, sustainable source of resources to maintain the mission of the institutions that they are part of. In financially hard times, for example, when it's hard to keep your doors open, endowments allow resources to make sure you can sustain your staff, invest in your programs. And that's why the organization with these large endowments are continually creating new programs. They create endowed scholarships for their professors. It's a number of things that can be done with the endowments that have not been possible for HBCUs because the endowments are so much smaller compared to the big organizations. And so for us, it means that we can be around perhaps for another 148 years doing the important work that we've been doing for the last 14 decades.
And again, so that money is invested. It allows for you to draw from that. And what people don't realize is, I mean, listen, the average HBCU endowment is not even $20 million. People don't even understand that HBCUs are really working off of extremely thin margins.
And that's absolutely right, Roland. Our endowment before this investment by Bloomberg stood at $190 million, which is one of the largest among HBCUs. But this almost doubles our endowment, which means we'll have almost double the resources on a yearly basis to invest in our students, to invest in our programs, and sustain a high-quality faculty to make sure we can deliver the best to our students. So it's really a transformational gift, and obviously we're very grateful to Bloomberg Philanthropies, and we intend to make the best use of these added resources.
Questions from my panel. Michael, you first.
All right, Dr. Hildreth, thanks for coming on and sharing this with us. Can you give some examples and reasons why having more African-American doctors will yield a better outcome for African-American patients? There's a lot of documentation on this, but a lot of times people really don't understand the correlation.
So I think the best way to frame this is from the perspective of trust. If a patient does not trust that the provider has their best interest in mind, they're not likely to follow the directions given to them by the physician. They might not even fill the prescriptions that have been written for them if they don't trust the physician. And the data are such that we know for sure that when the healthcare provider group matches the communities they take care of, the outcomes are decidedly better. That's particularly true for black men. When black men are seeing black male physicians, the outcomes are really, really good. And there was a study to show that even if there's a few black physicians in a community that has predominantly a white healthcare workforce, that results in better overall outcomes for the whole community. In other words, we have compelling evidence that's indisputable that black physicians result in better health for black communities all over the country.
All right, thank you.
Teresa?
Yes, doctor. Thank you so much for joining us. For such exciting news. I think my question is more so to some of the responses that you've been getting. I think one of the things that Michael Bloomberg had mentioned was, there's likely some prejudice within it of the reason why you haven't been giving the funding. I thought that was, just powerful in itself because it is, recognized obviously amongst trustees and board members. But what is the response, to other organizations that you've heard in terms of this grand announcement?
I think the first thing I would say is that racism is real in the United States. In fact, the former director of the CDC declared racism as a public health crisis that needs to be dealt with. Francis Collins, before he resigned as the NIH director, actually apologized for the systemic racism that had prevented black investigators from getting NIH grants at the same rate as white researchers. Racism is real. People might want to, sweep it under the rug, but it has contributed significantly to the chasm in the health of people who live in the United States. And that was dramatically illustrated during the pandemic, when at one time in some cities in our country, the death rate per 100,000 people for blacks was 10 times as higher than it was for whites. And so we think we have a very important role to play in sustaining the health of America. And that's why these additions to our endowments are an investment in a healthy America. That's the way we look at it. And people need to know we don't just train all black students. We have mostly black students, but we also train Hispanic students and white students. And part of our history that people may not know is that in the late 50s and 60s, in the South, white Jewish students were not admitted to white medical schools. They came to MeHarry Medical College. And so there are a lot of Jewish physicians right now practicing in America who owe a license to having been at MeHarry Medical College for their education.
Matt?
Yes, Dr. Hildreth, I have a two-part question. So congratulations on this wonderful donation. Does this afford y'all the opportunity to subsidize the students' cost of education to some extent? And the second part of it is, does this afford you the opportunity to create or augment any community health programs you have? What are the outcomes that may be for the wider community and actual health outcomes there around MeHarry?
I think Doc's signal is frozen. Let's see if we can just get him back so we can answer Matt's question. So y'all just let me know. We're working that out right now, folks. As I said, 4 HBCU schools will be getting the $600 million from the Bloomberg Philanthropies. A huge, huge gift, which will make a significant impact on those 4 institutions. And thankfully, we're seeing that kind of investment made into these schools that typically do not receive donations this large. All right, we almost got Doc back. So working on that. Let's go to the Kamala Harris rally, and then we'll come back to this.
Got the vintage rolls, drop a couple hundred, tell 'em maybe that's the dawn.
Looks like we got Doc back. Matt, ask your question again, and then we'll get an answer.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Dr. Hildreth, congratulations on the donation. My question was two-part. First, does this money afford you the opportunity to subsidize the students' education? And secondly, does it allow you to augment or create any community health programs you may have there around MeHarry?
So thank you for the question. MeHarry's been connected to community in very significant ways for a long, long time. We have both a medical and a dental van that goes to communities to offer free clinical services. Twice a year, we have hundreds of people come to the campus to get free oral health services, extractions, cleaning, et cetera. And this endowment will provide some extra resources, we believe, to make sure that we can sustain those programs and expand them. The other thing it does, which I believe is important, it will allow us to reduce the cost of attendance of our students to attend medical school, which exceeds $115,000 per year. And for most of our students, 80 to 90% of those funds are borrowed.
All right, then. Well, Doc, congratulations. This is huge, huge. And actually, I was on your campus a few months ago when I was in Nashville, which is my first time. It's my first time being there. So I told the folks there, I said, they got to send me some MeHarry's swag so I can wear it on the show. Because I only wear HBCU gear places I've been to. Everybody don't get a good shout out. So once it comes in, I'll be sure to rock it on the show.
I promise you'll get it.
All right, I appreciate it. And again, great job with this donation, and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. All right, folks, going to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network as we await for Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to begin speaking in Glendale, Arizona. Back in a moment.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach and host of Get Wealthy. On the next Get Wealthy, here's the good news. Black women are the fastest growing segment of business owners. The not so good news, the average business by Black women is only earning revenues of $45,000 or less. On the next Get Wealthy, you're gonna hear from a woman who went from her kitchen table to cat tables, growing her business to over $1 million.
You should start a business because your product is needed in the world, not because you hate the person that you work with. If you hate your job and you hate your manager, go find a new job, a place that makes you feel comfortable. And I say that because starting a business is truly a labor of love and service.
If you want to learn how to do it, right here on the next Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Carl Payne pretended to be Roland Martin. Holla!
You ain't got to wear black and gold every damn place, okay? Ooh, I'm an alpha, yay. All right, you're 58 years old. It's over.
And you are now watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable.
That is the Vice President Kamala Harris rally there in Arizona. And so, you could tell the DJ is all lit up. What is he playing? Oh, yeah. So they got him fired up there in Arizona. They're waiting to hear Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. We go live there when the speakers come on back. All right, y'all. Now, we discussed this earlier. We all know Donald Trump lied about lies. Like literally, the boy lips start moving, his ass lying. But did y'all hear what this dumbass said yesterday about former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown? Listen to this lying fool.
I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was... He was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Really? Well, San Francisco media caught up with Willie Brown. And he was like, that's bullshit.
Donald Trump is talking about you today.
That's what I heard. I heard that he was doing what Donald does best.
Which is?
His creativity fictional.
He's implying that you had negative things to say, maybe even locker room talk. Why would he say that?
Well, first and foremost, I could not envision thinking of Kamala Harris in any negative way. She was a good friend, long time ago, absolutely beautiful woman, smart as all hell, very successful, electorally speaking. I was a part of every campaign that she's ever been involved in, supported her religiously, and will still do so, and I am just looking forward for the next 89 days. I just can't wait to get her in as president.
Is it just me, Teresa, or yesterday there was no pushback on any of those lies? Not a single reporter said, when he said, there were 1 million people at the March in Washington. No, there wasn't. Nobody said, I'm sorry, did you just say you have bigger crowds than anybody? Dude, you never had bigger crowds than Obama. This is the thing that is perplexing to me, is when these media folks sit there and know this man lying, and they just go next question like it's no big deal. That is the big problem for me, this unwillingness to challenge this idiot about his lies.
Yeah, and it also shows a bigger problem in journalism in 2024. You know, when we have elected officials, and, Trump can say he's not a politician, but he absolutely is. He was elected, unfortunately, but he was elected. And because of that, that makes him a politician. And politicians have been, known to lie. But in particularly, we have one that is running for president that literally is on attack mode every single time to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and whomever that is actually doing the work. And so then we have these reporters who are very critical on specific policy positions about the people who are actually doing the work versus Donald Trump, who's like, it's interesting that they actually have to have fact checkers when clearly if you know that some of the things aren't done, if you can absolutely see that the crowds aren't big, if you can see that, during the pandemic, he was the worst. People, hundreds and thousands have died under his watch because of misinformation, because of miseducation. And it's just, again, it has me go back to my journalism class and, my schooling of it, where we're not asking the right questions, like you said, Roland. We're not doing our due diligence. We're not doing investigative reporting. It is, if that's what he says, let's go with the flow. And that's a problem. That is a problem because, again, this is why we're having so many issues trying to discern from real news, fake news, and bloggers in between, and who's a journalist and who's a media personality. Because there's so much information that is not being followed up on. And I think that is honestly the real challenge here, especially when we have somebody running for the president of the United States once again.
This is not a challenge to me, Michael. It's not. Either you're telling the truth or you're lying. And if a man lies and nobody follows up with the truth, they are aiding and abetting the lie.
Absolutely. So last night on MSNBC, Lawrence O'Donnell's show, he called out the media for not broadcasting Vice President Kamala Harris' campaign rally in Wayne, Michigan.
Yeah, which we called them out on the show last night.
Yep. You called him out last night. So he played the entire campaign rally yesterday, her speech. He played that on this show. You called out the media, and he did as well on the press conference yesterday, and them not pushing back on Donald Trump's lies. And this is this is one of the fundamental problems with the mainstream media. Many of these quote unquote journalists are not equipped to deal with a pathological liar like Donald Trump.
No, they
who
are.
lies about
No. They are. No. So that's a mistake. They are. They are choosing not to.
Well, that goes to integrity if they choose not to. And part of journalism is having integrity. So there's a fundamental problem there. And when you look at the fact checking of these lies that he told yesterday, for mainstream media to be there and not challenge him on those is problematic. And I think Donald Trump really missed his calling as a science fiction writer, because with these whoppers of lies that he just makes up, lying about Willie Brown. Now, probably a lot of the media there yesterday didn't know who the hell Willie Brown was, former mayor of San Francisco. But he lied about Willie Brown.
If they didn't know who he was, they should not call themselves political reporters.
I agree with that, Roland. I know who Willie Brown is. I'm glad local media caught up with them. I read the article from the Los Angeles Times about the interview with Willie Brown, and he said, all this stuff is false. And now what Trump is trying to do, he's trying to use a black face to do an underhanded attack on Kamala Harris. That's what he was really trying to do yesterday.
Well, but he will listen. He will do that any day of the week, and he will just make up lies, and he'll be like, okay, all right. So, here's the thing for Matt. Not one question about this $10 million that allegedly came from Egypt to his campaign. Mm-hmm. Not one question about President 2025. These people who will cover him, they are trash. I'm telling you right now, these folks, they love the Trump shit show. They love the crazy. They thought Biden was too boring. And so they love the mayhem. And so, frankly, I think a lot of these media people would love to see him back in, because they know it's going to be nutcase journalism every day.
I think that's exactly right. And I think Teresa said it perfectly earlier. I mean, I think they have essentially a duty to let the American people know the truth of things, because this is somebody running for president. This isn't somebody running for a local position. This isn't somebody who's not seeking the highest office in the land and, frankly, the most powerful individual position in the entire world. I think they've got a duty to ensure that true information is what's being disseminated and that he's being called out on false information. And, this is the kind of thing that is particularly strange, because a lot of the lies and the misstatements that we hear from Mr. Trump are misstatements, whether he's inflating something numerically, saying he had way more people or whatever, right? But this is a thing, like, you're lying about being in a helicopter with somebody you were never in a helicopter with, an easily verifiable thing. I was with Willie Brown. No, you weren't. I never done business with you, and I wasn't on that helicopter. That, to me, in this instance particularly, shows one of two things. It shows just a brazen disregard for the truth, or it shows that he himself is lacking the very fitness that he was calling Mr. Biden out about, President Biden out about. So in that respect, I think that the journalists not calling him out on that is a shirking of their duty. But more so than that, I think it shows the depth to which Trump is willing to say anything he feels he needs to say to get the soundbite. And this is strange, because this is easily verifiable. I wasn't on that helicopter with you. And if you're not lying, then you're mistaking me with somebody who's completely different, i.e. Governor Jerry Brown. And if you're mistaking those two people, perhaps you don't need to be in the White House.
You think? In the same media, folks, if Biden made a mistake, Biden forgot. He mispronounced the name. He mixed somebody up. Did you see any of those stories? You have not seen the New York Times do cognitive decline stories on Donald Trump. Nope. Don't see it. Ain't gonna see it. I'm telling y'all right now, this is why these mainstream media people are a joke, because they want in on the crazy show that he presents. It is simple as that. Let me go to a quick break. We come back. We'll be right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. on Black Star Network. Don't forget, supporters of what we do. Join the Bring the Funk fan club. All these folks, all of this, yep, I got to open up every single one of them. All of this are folks who've sent in their checks and money orders to join our Bring the Funk fan club. They do not believe in the digital stuff. I get it, because guess what? It all cash is the same. So I appreciate all of y'all supporting what we do right here. Don't forget, your contributions make it possible. Our goal is simple. Every year, 20,000 fans contributing on average $50 each, $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. A lot of people who can't give that. People have given us as little. People have given us $25, $10, $5, $2, $1. People have given us more than $50. I've seen donations of $100, $200, and more. I appreciate every single dollar. And so you can do it as well. Don't forget, send us and remember, everybody who also is a donor, we put their names on our list. We run it every single Friday. We run every donor who contributes to this show. So please do the exact same thing. Check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $, RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo's RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Back in a moment.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds. As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hi, my name is Freddie Ricks. I'm from Houston, Texas.
My name is Sharon Williams. I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All right, folks, we're waiting for the rally of Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz to begin there in Arizona. We'll go live there as soon as the speakers hit the microphone. And so we'll let you know. We'll have all of that for you. But right now, time for Black and Missing. Shania Barber has not been seen since she left her Lincoln, Georgia home on June 17th. The 17-year-old is 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighs 120 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information about Shania Barber should call the Effingham County, Georgia Sheriff's Office at 912-754-3449, 912-754-3449. The 4 hotel workers charged in connection with Devontae Mitchell's death are now in custody. Herbert Williamson was taken into custody 3 days after he and his 3 co-defendants were charged with being a party to felony murder in Mitchell's June 30th death at a Hyatt Regency hotel, according to the Milwaukee County Jail records. The two hotel workers, Devin Johnson Carson and Todd Erickson, were taken into custody on Thursday. Johnson Carson worked at the front desk, and Erickson was the security manager on duty at the hotel on June 30th during the afternoon of the altercation. Williamson, a bellhop at the hotel, and the three others were charged after prosecutors scoured videos showing them piling on top of Mitchell as they tried to remove him from the hotel's lobby before he died. If convicted, each would face up to 15 years and 9 months in prison. The Sangamon County, Illinois Sheriff Jack Campbell has announced his retirement amid mounting political pressure after one of his deputies fatally shot Sonia Massey in her home last month. Governor J.B. Pritzker said Campbell needed to step down because the sheriff has failed. Former Deputy Sean Grayson faces 3 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct in the July 6th shooting death of 36-year-old Massey. Campbell, who hired Grayson for the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department in May 2023, reiterated his intent Wednesday to stay on the job. Well, that ain't happening. You know what? The reality here, Matt, he should have stepped down because this man, dishonorable discharge, 6 law enforcement agencies in 4 years. If you're looking at a resume, that ain't even a red flag. That's sirens, alarms, that's everything going off at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. And it happens very frequently. And we've talked about it on the show. You know, the hiring authorities try to backpedal once that person ends up doing something at a new agency, or like a recent story you had a couple of weeks ago, when they get called out on having hired somebody who's used deadly force, especially in a questionable way. They always act like, oh, I didn't know, I didn't realize the extent of it. And we know that's dishonest. And some of that is a part of, the thin blue line, closing a phalanx in on itself. Some of that is hoping that the public at large just never learns the truth about who this person was. And I'm glad that he has stepped down. I mean, this is one of those situations where if you are in leadership, so I guess he's the sheriff, the equivalent of the county judge or the county mayor, depending on where you live, how do you have confidence in this sheriff, right? Once you know that he or she has hired somebody who's bounced around from law enforcement agencies like that, that is a pretty clear sign that they've got fundamental issues with how they do this job. So it's a good thing that he's gone. And I'm sure he knew about the extent of the problems with this particular officer and just overlooked them. And that's an issue that we see across the country with this exact issue with police officers leaving and being rehired at other agencies after long and sordid histories.
You know what? And the thing here, Teresa, he was, this is all political. Then he felt that pressure overnight. 24 hours later, he's gone.
Yeah, it should have came sooner. Like Matt said, it's a shame that it takes an outcry by the national public for something they could have done locally a long time ago. If the tables were turned, if the color was different, I'm telling you, would not be a conversation. First infraction, you're out. But it seems like obviously their local politics has kicked in. I'm glad he's out, but will the politics and the traditions change inside that local organization? That's something that we really need to be discussing.
Michael?
Yeah, Roland. Yeah, he should have already resigned, Jack Campbell, Sheriff Jack Campbell. But you have to, when you look at, he was, the officer worked for 6 departments in 4 years. You have to wonder, okay, so what type of screening, what type of research was done when he was hired into this sheriff's department? And this calls into mind, why you need the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, because there was a provision in there that would have prevented this from happening. Officers going from department to department, getting fired from a department, different things like that, going to work in other departments. And just coincidentally, Senator Kamala Harris co-wrote the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. For all those people out there who says she doesn't do anything for black people, all that stuff, they haven't done their research. At the same time, remember, Donald Trump wanted to shoot George Floyd protesters also. Okay, he wanted to have them shot as well. So imagine that contrast.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're dealing with there. And again, every time we see one of these stories, what we are dealing with are laws that need to be changed. And what I said at that news conference in Chicago, Matt, to Reverend Sharpton and Ben Crump and others, we don't have to wait for the George Floyd Police and Justice Act. Put the pressure on Pritzker, say, pass the law in Illinois, and then go to every state and have every black caucus in every state propose the law, get it passed, where law enforcement folks cannot hop from one jurisdiction to the other, create that state database, which keeps these thugs off of the force.
Absolutely. Or add to that some kind of public disclosure so the public is aware that this person had this issue somewhere else, the same way you would with a conviction, right? I mean, with convictions or anything else that's public information, the public is entitled to know that. And that's what makes this so insidious, is that these officers will do something bad, have an issue, harm somebody, and then move somewhere else. And the people whom they're now policing have no idea of their background, and therefore are not able to hold their local government accountable for hiring him or her. So it should come with a public disclosure, and I think that's a good idea. And that's really one of the issues that we have when we talk about qualified immunity, particularly, and issues related to policing, is that so much of the immediate way to change it is on the local level, but we often talk about it at the high level. And locally, these things need to be changed. I mean, right before I came on the show, I literally had a family in my office where their son was killed about 2 weeks ago under questionable circumstances by our local police. And I had to explain to them the difficulties and intricacies of the law in preparing, a lawsuit or preparing an action. And if the law were appropriate on the books, we wouldn't have a lot of the concerns that we have to help vindicate their rights. So we need to hold our local, politicians accountable in that respect.
Folks, right now in Glendale, Arizona, Congressman Ruben Gallego, who is running for United States Senate, is now at the microphone. Let's go live to Arizona.
It is so good to be here with my fellow Arizonans. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruben Gallego. I'm a dad, a husband, a congressman, and next to be your U.S. Senator. But before all that, I proudly serve in the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah! Hoorah! Yup, yup. I had the honor of fighting for my country alongside my brothers in Iraq. And those were some very tough days. But the fight for my brothers was worth it. And so is this fight. Arizona, we have 88 days until Election Day. And this excitement, this enthusiasm to fight for a better, a brighter Arizona together is what we need. Juntos y unidos, siempre. I am proud. One second, we have a... Is everything okay? Medical, I apologize. Can we get some medical care over there, please? Are you okay? Thank you. Please, Arizonans, bear with us. We have a fellow Arizonan that needs a little attention here. There we go. Thank you also to our first responders for reacting so quickly. Give them a round of applause. Thank you to first responders, law enforcement, everyone here for protecting us and taking care of ours. Thank you. This is a very good example of what Arizona is. We took care of each other right now. We asked for help. We said that we were going to take care of a fellow person. That's what we're bringing here today. Together in 88 days, we can bring that better Arizona forward. I am proud here also to stand together with another proud veteran, un veterano, Governor Walz. A man who has spent his career proudly serving his community. A teacher, a football coach, a soldier in the National Guard, a patriot. I got to know the governor in Congress. We both served on many committees, but I know one thing about him. He always put veterans first. And he is going to proudly represent us alongside our next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. As a prosecutor, as Attorney General, she took on drug cartels. As a U.S. Senator and now the Vice President, Kamala Harris knows how to win and to fight for us. Look, Arizona, we are at a crossroads. We need to be cutting costs for our families. We need to be protecting abortion rights, and we need to be defending our democracy. All that and more are at stake in this election. Since launching this campaign 19 months ago, yes, 19 months ago, I've been proud to crisscross this beautiful state of Arizona. I've spoken to Arizonans everywhere, the farmer in Yuma, the sheriff in Parker, the mom in Mesa, the teacher in Maryville, the student in the Navajo Nation, the abuelita in Nogales. And here's the one thing I discovered. We have so much in common. We want to build a better Arizona for our families and our communities. And that is what this election is about. These politicians, the Kari Lakes of the world, will not give us that. She and they will divide us. She'll ban abortion and not look back. She'll put Medicare on the chopping block. And she has been very clear that she will not do anything to have true solutions to the border. This is the same person that is still trying to declare herself governor 2 years after losing an election. Kari Lake is not looking out for you. She's looking out for herself. And what we need is someone to look out for you, to fight for you. And I am probably going to be that person. Because no matter what, and everyone knows it, once a Marine, always a Marine. And I never back down from a fight. So I'm going to fight for my daughter Isla, who deserves the same rights that her grandma had growing up. Let's fight for her. For my mom, who struggled to put food on the table, keep us in our safe apartment, and fight for a better future. Let's fight for her. For my son Michael, who deserves the brightest future that I can give him, that this country can give him. Let's fight for him. In the Marines, they teach you a lot of things, but one of the most important things to teach you, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So here's what we're going to do in the next 88 days. Let's defeat Kari Lake. Let's defeat Donald Trump. Let's fight for a better future for Arizona. And let's go win. Let us show them who we are in Arizona. Show them that you don't dare to come and try to take our rights, our freedoms, and our future away. We are Arizonans. We will fight back. We will protect our rights, and we will protect our future. Let's do it. Let's go win. Let's go Arizona.
All right, folks, coming to the stage right now is Arizona Senator Mark Kelly and his wife, former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. You might remember there was an assassination attempt at a grocery store in Arizona where she was almost killed, and she still is affected by that shooting. And one of the reasons why both of them are huge gun control advocates. He, of course, is on the short list to be the vice presidential nominee. And so he's about to speak right now at the rally in Arizona. Let's go back there.
What a crowd!
What a crowd!
Thank you. Woo! Hello, Phoenix. Woo! It is so great to be home here in Arizona. Woo! And Gabby and I are so excited to be with all of you today. Woo! And to welcome our next president and vice president, to our great home of the state of Arizona. So, guess who won? Gabby and I played rock, paper, scissors to see who could speak first today. And guess who won? You're right. My wife, the woman who inspires me each and every day and teaches me to never give up. Gabby Giffords.
Our lives can change so quickly. Mine did when I was shot, but I never gave up hope. I chose to make a new start, to move ahead, to not look back. I'm relearning so many things, how to walk, how to talk, and I'm fighting to make the country safer. It can be so difficult. Losses hurt, setbacks are hard, but I tell myself, move ahead. I'm finding joy in small things, riding my bike, playing the French horn, going to the gym, laughing with friends. The small things add up. We are living challenging time. We're up for the challenge. My own recovery has taken years. Many, many, many people helped me along the way, and I learned so much. I learned that people care for each other and work together. Progress is possible. A world is possible. But change doesn't happen overnight, and we can't do it alone. Join me. Let's move ahead together. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Gabby Giffords, everybody. Arizona Democrats. Now, we've done a whole lot of winning over these past few years, haven't we? And I don't know about you, but I think we're ready to keep winning. We are going to keep winning with Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. And we've got to, because there is so much at stake. Whether our kids grow up with the same rights and freedoms as the generations before them, whether our economy works for everyday people or is rigged for billionaires, and whether our alliances are strengthened or shredded. And that's why we have to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Kamala Harris has served as a prosecutor, an attorney general, a senator, and now as the Vice President of the United States of America. She is the leader we need to take our country into the future. To lower the cost of childcare, to restore reproductive rights, and to help us reduce gun violence. And Tim Walz has served as a coach, as a teacher, as the governor of the state of Minnesota, and in the U.S. House. And I don't know if you know this, but Gabby and Tim Walz were sworn in together as brand new members of Congress. Right? Yes. Right. He served honorably in uniform for decades. And Tim has brought that experience to everything he has done since. Fighting for our service members, fighting for veterans, and fighting for military families. Now, that's not something I expect that Donald Trump would understand. Donald Trump calls those who served suckers and losers. And he has zero respect for any of us who have worn the uniform. Folks, here in Arizona, we don't attack people for their service to our country. What do? We thank them. Right? So, how do we help Vice President Harris and Governor Walz win this election? So, folks, this is not rocket science. And I know a little bit about rocket science. That ain't this. What this is about is who works harder. That's it. It is as simple as that. And here's the thing. I've flown in space 4 times. And I've flown in combat nearly 40 times. But folks, not once did I do any of that by myself. It takes a team of people working together to accomplish a mission. It's always been that way. Now, I may be a Navy guy. I might be a Navy guy, but to win this election, we do not need a Navy. What we need is an Army. Now, here's the good news. Our future vice president, he's an Army guy. So we need all of you to become part of an army. Yes. An unstoppable army that can get this team through the trenches and across the finish line. And Gabby and I, we are ready to join this army. Are all of you? All right, so let's get this done, Arizona. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
One more time. One more time. We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time. We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, don't stop the dancing. One more time. You know I'm just feeling celebration tonight. Celebrate. Don't wait too late. No, we don't stop. You can't stop. We're gonna celebrate. One more time. One more time. One more time. A celebration. You know we're gonna do it right tonight. Hey, just feeling. Music's got me feeling the need. Yeah. Come on. All right. One more time. One more time. One more time. We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time. We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time. We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time. We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah. One more time. This shit that ice cold. Michelle fight for that white gold. This one for them hood girls, them good girls, straight masterpieces. Styling, wildin', living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on with Saint Laurent. Gotta kiss myself, I'm so pretty. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot. Make a dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot. Say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band about that money, break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. 'Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. 'Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. 'Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Come on, y'all. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on, y'all. Don't believe me, just watch. Say what?
Arizona, how y'all feeling?
Say what? I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot. Make a dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot. Say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band about that money, break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. 'Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. 'Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. 'Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on.
Come on, y'all.
but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I'm 2 + 2, I'm for sure. You down, I'm down, baby, let's go. You stop, you drop, baby, then roll. You twerk, you pop, booty so swole. I'd hate me too if I were you. And when it comes to billions, I'll take 2. It's only one life, you don't get 2. So live life, don't let it live you.
I got a pocket full of $100 bills. Put on a jacket, cause these diamonds give you chills. 2 shots are running, 2 out, I'm stunning tonight. Tonight, yeah. Look in the mirror, I'm like, who the hell is he? So many whips and cribs, I'm losing track of keys. Ooh, up to something, ooh, yeah, I love it, alright. Alright.
Yeah, yeah, I'm drinking out the bottle. Get loose, hanging with supermodels. Get loose, feel like I hit the lotto. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good.
I just see you don't fall from the tree. Cause I've been looking at you so long now, I only see me. I wanna throw the apple into the sky. Feels like you never understand me, so I just wanna drive to the airport. The airport, the airport, the airport. I guess the apple could turn yellow or green. I know there's lots of different nuances to you and to me. I wanna grow the apple, keep all the seeds, but I can't help but get so angry you don't listen or leave. To the airport, the airport, the airport, the airport, the airport, the airport, the I'm gonna drive all night. I'm gonna drive all night. I think the apple's rotten right to the core. From all the things that's done, from all the apples coming before. I split the apple down symmetrical lines. I wanna find it's kinda scary. Makes me just wanna drive, 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 drive. I'm gonna drive all night. I'm gonna drive all night.
Your throat, David.
Here we go.
Vice President of the United States, Governor Tim Walz.
Well, I was born in a small town, and I live in a small town. Rather die in a small town, oh, small communities. All my friends are small town. My parents live in the same small town. My job is a small town.
Hello, Arizona. Wow. Hey. Yeah. Wow. Well, you might have seen a few people showed up in Philadelphia the other night. And then 10,000 plus walked into a field in western Wisconsin. And then on Wednesday, the largest crowd of the campaign showed up in Detroit, Michigan. But Arizona just couldn't leave it alone, could you? Wow. You know, it's not as if anybody cares about crowd sizes or anything. So. Wow. Let me begin by giving a few thanks to some people here and a few dear folks to us. First of all, I want to thank Arizona for sharing Senator Mark Kelly and Gabby Giffords with the rest of the country. Gabby was a classmate of mine in '06, and they are both national treasures. Thank you, Arizona. Also had the privilege of serving with Congressman Gallego, and I'll have to tell you, he was an amazing colleague, and I have to tell you, he's going to be an amazing senator. But we get a twofer with Ruben because we know who is never going to be a United States senator. To all the local elected officials, thank you, but the most important thank you to each and every one of you. Look, you took time out of your busy lives. You found babysitters, you took time off work, you walked for miles in. Look, I'm a Minnesotan, I'm like a damn snowman, I'm melting here. We walk on water half the year in Minnesota, it's so damn cold, but not you, you came. And you came into this space with neighbors. And you came here for one beautiful, simple reason. You love this democracy. I'll tell you what. Wow. Well, I couldn't be prouder to stand with you, and I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket. You know what's at the end of this little journey? Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. This is a leader who wakes up every day on the side of the American people. She will take on the predators. She will take on the fraudsters. She will take on the transnational gangs, and she will stand up to the corporate interests and put middle America first. And she's been effective. She's been willing to reach across the aisle no matter what, just to make sure it improves people's lives. And I'll have to tell you, I know a little something about commitment to people. Some of you heard this. I was born in a small town in Nebraska. We talk about small towns. These are those Nebraskans that moved out here for the winter, so. But look, small town was all about community. My mom and dad, they taught us to show some care to your neighbors, show some generosity, work towards a common good, be a decent human being to your neighbors. My dad, and some of you know him in here, you had him, a chain-smoking Korean War era veteran, cared about his community, but 2 days after I turned 17, he took me down to join the Army National Guard. I'm proud of that service. And for 24 years, I proudly wore that uniform. I'm proud of that service, but what my nation gave my dad and millions of others and me was an opportunity to use the GI Bill to get a college education. sisters and I all became teachers. My dad was a teacher. My brothers and sisters and I. And we married teachers. My brothers and sisters and I all became teachers. I had the privilege of teaching high school social studies for 20 years. And we married teachers. And you might have heard, coaching a state championship football team. I had the privilege of teaching high school social studies for 20 years. And you might have heard, coaching a state championship football team. Now if the Vikings could just win, that would be Weber. And look, my students. But I hope to instill in them. That worked better near Green Bay, I'll tell you. So, look, it was my students. It was my students who encouraged me to run. They saw in me what I hope to instill in them: a commitment to a common good, the belief. The true belief that one person, one of us in here can make a difference in somebody's life. I wasn't very politically savvy because I did not know it when I decided to run for Congress that there had been one other Democrat elected in that district since 1892. But my neighbors believed, and they graced me with an opportunity to serve them in the United States Congress for 12 years. And I'm proud of the work I did as ranking member on the Veterans Affairs Committee, working on the Agriculture Committee. And I worked hand in hand with Republicans to make sure that we were crafting legislation that improved the lives of veterans and people all across this country. I learned how to compromise without compromising my values. All of those experiences to the challenges facing the state of Minnesota. And as governor of the great state of Minnesota, I brought all of those experiences. I brought all of those experiences to the challenges facing the state of Minnesota. This idea about a common good, this idea about something bigger than ourselves, this idea of kindness, generosity, and compassion, that this building, which I have been told, by the way, might be the largest political gathering in the history of Arizona. I think it's safe to say Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than we do. First and foremost, to be very clear about this, I think it's safe to say Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than we do. You're too busy serving only yourself. First and foremost, and be very clear about this, again and again, he doesn't know the first thing about service. Donald Trump weakens our country to strengthen. It's hard to provide service when you're too busy serving only yourself. Again and again and again. And that's to say nothing. Donald Trump weakens our country to strengthen his own hands. You've watched him mock our laws. As governors, you watched him sow chaos and division at every opportunity. And pitted us in a hunger game. And that's to say nothing of his record as president. Basic life-saving needs. And because as of him, governors, our neighbors died. As governors, he froze during COVID and pitted us in a hunger game against our neighbors to try and find basic life-saving needs. And because of him, our neighbors died. By failing, the statistics and the facts are clear about this. Violent crime was up under Donald Trump. And we don't even have to count his crimes in that to make it up. So, still. Look, those, better yet, beat the hell out of him at the ballot box. Beat the hell out of him at the ballot box. Look, you and I, especially the gray hairs in the crowd, we know our relatives. Republicans used to be the people talking about freedom. Not this group. When they talk about freedom, it means that the government should be free to invade your exam room with your doctor. Look, in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. We maybe wouldn't make the same choices, but we respect them. And I know in Minnesota and in Arizona and places across this country, you know what makes society work best? Is when you learn a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Mind your own damn business. We don't need it. I don't need you telling me what books to read. I don't need you telling me about what religion we worship. And I sure the heck don't need you to tell me about my family. Look, this one's personal for me. This one's personal for me about IVF and reproductive care. When my wife and I, my wife of 30 years, because yes, we share family values, we just make our own damn choices about our family. But when we wanted to have children, we went through years of fertility treatment. And I remember it was like it was yesterday, just waiting for good news. And then the phone would ring and you would be tensed up, and then you would hear that the treatments had failed. It would blot out the sun that you just wanted something so beautiful and so simple to have a child. And then one day, and it wasn't by chance, when that news came and we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope. We named her Hope. I'm not crying, you're crying. So when Vice President Harris and I talk about freedom, we're very clear. We mean the freedom to make your own health care decisions. And for all of our children to be free to go to school without worrying they'll be shot dead in their classroom. And in Minnesota, believe me, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws. I remind my colleagues when I was in Congress, Ruben could tell this story, for 3 years in a row I was the top gun in the congressional trap shoot, so we can shoot better than them too, just by the way. When Vice President Harris talks about freedom, it's when freedom is when education is a ticket to the middle class, not crippling student loan debt. And this building and what we believe in, we are people that settle our political differences not through violence, but through voting. It's a simple. Imagine every person in here is going to vote, and every person in here is going to get 10 other people to vote. And let's just go ahead and not go through this thing that it's so close. Let's just win big, people. Let's just win big. That's our choice. How often you get a choice so simple that this is going to decide the direction of our country? We have 87 days to decide the direction we're going to go. And I've been saying it. We can do anything for 87 days. Anything. And my mantra is, and look, you can see it on me over the last 5 days, we'll sleep when we're dead. We'll sleep when we're dead. Not now. Not now. Look, you know it, and I know it, but I think we need to be reminded. You know exactly what Donald Trump's plans are. You know which direction he's taking us. Don't believe this guy. Don't believe, that's like, listen, no one in here believes this guy, so anyway. But don't believe it when he's playing dumb about this Project 2025. He knows exactly what it'll do. They are not playing. They wrote their plan out. But just like they're getting arrogant about it, they're saying the quiet stuff out loud. It'll take our freedoms. It'll rig the economy for the super rich. It'll underfund veterans. And you know that if he goes back again, he's not only going to let go where he left off, it is going to be much, much, much worse. So look, rising costs, pulling health care from us, you know the whole routine. Look, I get this too. I know I'm preaching to the choir, a damn big and beautiful choir. But practice is over, people. The choir needs to sing. The choir needs to sing. Trump's not fighting for your family. He doesn't give a damn. And his running mate shares the same dangerous, twisted, backward agenda. Yeah, every kid in my class of 25 studied at Yale, had their career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then writes a book trashing the very people who raised you. I've said it, it wasn't a name, it was an observation. These guys come up with the weirdest damn ideas that you will ever imagine. You know it's true. But here's the good news. We know the stakes. We know who they are. When they told us, we believed them. We know what's coming. But here's the big thing about it is, that's a reality that's not going to happen because the people in this building and millions across the country. This is a campaign about the future. We know what's there. We know it can come. We're not people who are afraid of the future. We shape the future. Kamala Harris believes in the freedom to make your own choices. She believes in the opportunity for every single person to enter the middle class. And she believes something so beautiful. She believes in the promise of America. The promise of America. So I want to say thank you, Madam Vice President, for the trust you've placed in me. And I want to say something else, that this incredible leader, this incredible woman has brought to this fight. She has brought back compassion and decency and humor and joy to our politics. So Arizona, bring that joy with you, bring those smiles, bring that positive future as you join me in welcoming the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
good to be back in Arizona. Good evening, everyone. Oh my goodness, thank you all so very much. Oh, it is good to be back. Let me just say, let me just start by thanking everyone who is here. Thank you all so very much. All of you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We are going to do this. And I want to thank all of the incredible leaders who are here, including Congressman Greg Stanton, your next United States Senator, Congressman Ruben Gallego, and my dear friend, United States Senator Mark Kelly. And let me just say, as Arizona knows, Mark is an extraordinary leader who has dedicated his life to the service of our nation as a fighter pilot, as an astronaut, and as a member of the United States Congress. And he has given so much to our country. He always fights for the people of Arizona. And I am so grateful, Mark, for your friendship and your leadership. The phenomenal Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. There are also an incredible group of mayors with us today. Mayor Kate Gallego, Mayor Corey Woods, and Arizona co-chair of Republicans for Harris, Mayor John Giles. So today, I also bring greetings from our incredible President, Joe Biden. And I know we are all deeply grateful for his lifetime of service to our nation, and we thank Joe Biden each and every day for all he is and all he has done and all he has yet to do. Let us thank him always. So, Arizona, this has been a big week. On Monday, I officially became the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. And on Tuesday, I announced my running mate in this campaign, Governor Tim Walz. And as you all just heard, Tim has a great record as governor of the great state of Minnesota. And to those who know him best, Tim goes by a few more titles besides governor. To his wife, Gwen, thank you. So Tim, we know him by governor, but you'll soon get to know his wife, Gwen, to whom, you know what? Hold on a second. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Here's the thing. We are all in here together. I'm told an extraordinary number of folks who are here together because we love our country. We're here to fight for our democracy. Which includes respecting the voices that I think that we are hearing from. And let me just say this on topic of what I think I'm hearing over there. Let me just speak to that for a moment, and then I'm going to get back to the business at hand. say, I have been clear. Now is the time to get a ceasefire deal and get the hostage deal done. Now is the time. And the President and I are working around the clock every day to get that ceasefire deal done and bring the hostages home. So I respect your voices, but we are here to now talk about this race in 2024. So, Tim Walz, so let's just say this. Besides being governor, the thing I've come to learn about Tim Walz that you have known and may learn more, he's an extraordinary person. He's known by many titles. To his wife, Gwen, he is husband. To his kids, Hope and Gus, he is dad. To the people of southern Minnesota for 12 years, he was congressman. To his former high school students, he was Mr. Walz. And to his former high school football players, he was coach. And in 88 days, the nation will know Coach Walz by a new title. Vice President of the United States. So it's so good to be back in Arizona, and I thank you all for turning out today. This is an extraordinary, extraordinary thing. And Arizona, I'll also say this, as exciting as this is, we cannot lose sight of a really important fact. We are definitely running as the underdog. We are the underdog. We are out in great numbers, but we got a lot of work to do. And this is going to be hard work, but I know we like hard work. Hard work is good work for all of us. Hard work is good work. And we will do it with joy. And I know we are all clear about what we are up against. As many of you know, before I was elected vice president, I was an elected United States Senator. Before that, I was an elected Attorney General, and before that, an elected District Attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So I took on, in these roles, perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, scammers who broke the rules for personal gain. So Arizona, hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. I do. In fact, I've been dealing with people like him my entire career. For example, as Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges that scammed students. Well, Donald Trump ran a for-profit college that scammed students. As a prosecutor, I specialized in cases of sexual abuse. Well, Donald Trump was found liable for committing sexual abuse. As Attorney General, I held Wall Street banks accountable for fraud. Well, Donald Trump was just found guilty of fraud 34 counts. So all of this, yeah, the courts will deal with that. We're going to win in November. We're going to win in November. We'll handle that too. So, but all of this is to say, in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his every day of the week. Every day of the week. But make no mistake, that being said, our campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. It is about, and I love you guys. Our campaign is about two different visions for our nation. One, ours, focused on the future. The other, focused on the past. And Arizona, we fight for the future. A future with affordable health care, affordable child care, and paid leave. A future where we build a broad-based economy where every American has an opportunity to own a home, to start a business, to build wealth. Here with us today, I know we have a number of Native leaders. And as president, I will tell you, I will always honor tribal sovereignty and respect tribal self-determination. And fight for a future where every Native person can realize their aspirations and every Native community is a place of opportunity. We believe in a future where we lower the cost of living for America's families, so that they have the chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. Because look, while our economy is doing well by many measures, prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high. You know it and I know it. When I was Attorney General, I went after price-fixing schemes. And when I am president, I will continue that work to bring down prices. I will take on big corporations that engage in illegal price gouging. I will take on corporate landlords that unfairly raise rents on working families. I will take on big pharma and cap the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans. And all of this is to say, unlike Donald Trump, I will always put the middle class and working families first. Because you see, Coach Walz and I know the middle class built the United States of America. And when the middle class is strong, America is strong. And while we work to move our nation forward, look, Donald Trump, be very clear, intends to move us backward. Just look, and we're not going back. Tim talked about it. Look at his Project 2025 agenda. It's 900 plus pages. I can't believe they put that thing in writing, by the way. But when you look at it, when you read it, you will see Project 2025 is a plan to weaken the middle class. If he is elected, Donald Trump intends to give a tax break to billionaires and big corporations. He intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis. And Arizona, every day you feel the impact of extreme heat and drought. You know this crisis is real. He calls it a hoax. And on top of all of this, if Donald Trump wins in November, he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. Take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was? Remember what that was? He won't win. You're right. We will win. We are going to win is because we remember, and we are smart, and we know what's happening, and we're not falling for the gaslighting, and we're not falling for the okie doke. That's why. So look, America has tried so many of those failed policies before, and like we all know, we're not going back. We will move forward and take on the biggest issues facing our nation. For example, the issue of immigration. So I was Attorney General of a border state. I went after the transnational gangs, the drug cartels, and human traffickers. I prosecuted them in case after case, and I won. So I know what I'm talking about. We know our immigration system is broken, and we know what it takes to fix it. Comprehensive reform that includes strong border security and an earned pathway to citizenship. But Donald Trump does not want to fix this problem. Be clear about that. He has no interest or desire to actually fix the problem. He talks a big game about border security, but he does not walk the walk. Earlier this year, everybody here knows, earlier this year we had a chance to pass the toughest bipartisan border security bill in decades. But Donald Trump tanked the deal. Because he thought by doing that it would help him win an election. But when I am president, I will sign the bill. So Arizona, ours is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom. Across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on assault against hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights. The freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. And the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell And on that last point, understand how we got here. When he was president, Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would overturn and undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did. And now, in over 20 states in our nation, there is a Trump abortion ban. Many, like Arizona, with no exceptions even for rape or incest. And just yesterday, in a press conference, we got a fresh reminder of what Donald Trump's Project 2025 agenda would do. It would ban medication abortion in every state. But we are not going to let that happen because we trust women. And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedoms for every woman in America, I will sign it into law. So listen, here's the thing that we all know. Here's the thing we all know. Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. Now, the baton is in our hands. Each and every one of us. So we who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. Freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass an assault weapons ban, universal background checks, and red flag laws. So much is on the line in this election. And understand, this is not 2016, and this is not 2020. You know, this time around, the stakes are even higher. And that's because last month, the United States Supreme Court basically just told the former president, who has been convicted of fraud, that going forward, he will be effectively immune no matter what he does in the White House. But think about what that means. Think about what that means in this election. Think about what that means. He's been effectively told he will be immune if he's back in the White House. Think about what that means when you remember Donald Trump has openly vowed if reelected he will be a dictator on day one. That he will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Remember that he even called for the, quote, termination of the Constitution of the United States. Understand what this means. And let us be very clear. Someone who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again stand behind the seal of the United States President. Never again. Never again. So Arizona, it all comes down to this. We are here because we love our country. We love our country. country, and I do believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. That's how we preserve the promise of America. And after all, the promise of America is what makes it possible for Governor Walz and me to be on the same stage together. Because think, two middle-class kids, one a daughter of Oakland, California, who was raised by a working mother, had a summer job at McDonald's. The other, a son of Nebraska Plains who grew up working on a farm. Think about it. Only in America is it possible for them together to make it all the way to the White House. Only in America. Only in America. So we together, all of us, we're running this campaign on behalf of all Americans, from red states to blue states, from the heartland to the coast. And when we are elected, we will govern on behalf of all Americans. All Americans. So Arizona, ultimately in this election, I do believe we each one of us, we face a question. That question being, what kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a country of chaos, fear, and hate? Or a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law? Democracy is that we each have the power to answer that question. Each one of us in a democracy has the power to answer that question. The power is with the people. And in the next, then 88 days, we need you to use your power. We need you to knock on some doors. We need you to register folks to vote. We need you to energize, to mobilize, to organize, and to make your voices heard. Are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you and God bless the United States of America.
Aaron Gilchrist is on the ground in Phoenix.
Ryan